Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
From Laguna Beach, California, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Laguna Beach, California. I'm here live, walking the streets of Laguna Beach because I cannot get my internet connection worked. So if you're watching on YouTube, you cannot see me today because I got this phone to my ear.
But couldn't you just do this wherever you were? Like, why do you have to wander?
There was no signal there. There was no signal there.
But
there's
no phone signal?
It's very minimal because I'm sort of like in a little cottage.
In a little valley?
No, it's in like a very residential neighborhood. And so I'm walking, even though through a residential neighborhood, but because I'm walking, I don't think anyone's going to call the cops on me. Okay. Yes, this would never happen to Kastuba.
No, this is the kind of thing you kind of the day before you figure this out, Raghunath. I
tried. I could not get the signal. I could not get the signal until I had to go to bed last night, and they weren't home from work, and it's a long story.
All right, whatever. I'll complain later.
Thank you.
All right. Why don't we check in with Mara, see if Mara has any announcements for today?
Hi, Miss Mara. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. We have back to recovery group meetings today at 9 a.m. and noon. And our chant camp at Super Soul Farm is sold out, but we still have spaces available the next weekend for the Flow, Fly, and Chant with Lori Pag and Raghu.
Cool. And that's a big program too. So if you're interested, please register now. That will sell out as well.
Flow,
this is great.
Fly, and Chant.
Yeah.
We do a little yoga.
It used to be flight school. Now it's Flow, Fly, Chant.
Well, flight school had no chant in it.
Yeah.
We had to update it because we do a lot of chanting. It's a big part of our practice is sound vibration, which is one of our topics today. The potency of sound vibration.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's the topic of the whole Bhagavatam.
True.
The sounds that come out of our
wouldn't be able to talk Bhagavatam.
The sounds that come out of our mouth create us.
All right.
Create our environment. The sounds that come out of our mouth, if you think about this, the sounds that come out of our mouth create our world around us. Matter of fact, if you're in a relationship with someone you don't like, and that happens a lot, guess what? You're calling them to you by the things that come out of your mouth.
What if you don't?
What if you say, get away from me? What if you're mute?
What if you say, get away from me?
Then they'll go away. Eventually they'll go away.
Okay, so then.
Think about it. Think about Kastuba. Yeah. The words that come out of our mouth either attract people to us or repulse people from us. So there's a responsibility in what comes out of our mouth for creating our environment, our community, our universe. It's very potent stuff.
Okay. Well, why don't we vibrate a little sound right now? A nugget.
Yeah. Okay. You have to do all the reading because I got this. Okay. I've got basically my entire computer is in my ear right now. Okay. What
this is today is a Thich Nhat nugget.
Oh, a TikTok nugget. Those are the best.
Thich Nhat nugget.
Okay.
Not TikTok. Thich Nhat. From Thich Nhat Hanh.
Okay.
Did Thich Nhat Hanh, did he have, like, I wonder how they referred to him formally. I suppose they say His Holiness or something like that, right? Like how the Buddhist approach.
Mm.
I don't know.
Oh.
But this is from, he's a wise man, you know?
Yeah. I think we've quoted him a few times.
And this is something that you can meditate as you're wandering in the dark there.
I'm wandering through the dark of Laguna Beach. Okay.
So this is what he says. When you look at the sun during your walking meditation, the mindfulness of the body helps you see that the sun is in you. Without the sun, there is no life at all. And suddenly, you get in touch with the sun in a different way.
Read that again.
When you look at the sun during your walking meditation,
okay,
the mindfulness of the body helps you to see that the sun is in you. Without the sun, there is no life at all. And suddenly you get in touch with the sun in a different way. This is, you could call this mindfulness, right? Like we might walk around and see the sun every day,
sure,
but not slow down and be mindful that, oh, hold it, that my very life, my ability to eat food, my ability to digest food, my ability, you know, that it is all coming from this quite beautiful glowing orb situated millions of miles away, right? And the simply, even simply that, even simply thinking that changes the quality of one's life. It improves the quality of one's life, opens the door to a higher quality of life than just walking past it in a state of neglect, you could say, neglecting to think of it, right? Neglecting to be mindful of it. So, and you know, what I think, and what, you know, something that will come up in our reading today is that's one level, that's one level of mindfulness. It's valuable. You know, Krishna is going to go there in Bhagavad Gita, right? Like we were, you know, this past month, some of us were reading the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita every day. And there, you know, at one point Krishna begins to speak. You see, there's just different levels of knowledge. Like Krishna uses a term in the Bhagavad, he'll say like, this is Guyam. Guyam really means secret
knowledge.
But yeah, but
secret knowledge.
Prabhupada translates it commonly as confidential knowledge, right? That it's like not everyone is going to go there. Even what Thich Nhat Hanh is sharing here, in one sense, is confidential knowledge. It's not everybody is walking by and looking at the sun and thinking about the sun. You know, it's
like I'm walking down the road right now, and you can have different types of visions. Like you can have architectural vision. You know, you can have, oh, look at that thing that man built. Look at that. Look at that vehicle. Oh, that's he's driving a Maserati. Then you could be thinking things like, oh, look at these plants. These plants are alive. Look at these species of plants. Look at the flowers of the plant. Then you could take it, and then you could start looking at like natural things in environment, like the sun, and you're developing appreciation for them as spiritual beings, like a gardener would. Is this where we're going with this?
Well, where I'm going with it is that's one level of mindfulness, and that's valuable. That enhances the quality of one's thought and one's life. But what Krishna is going to say is, let's still go deeper. There's more confidential knowledge, right? In that 15th chapter, early on in the chapter, he's discussing the nature of our entanglement in this world, right? That how we're according to our desires and our actions, following our desires, we're trying to enjoy the material energy of this world, but we're getting caught up, in the reactions to our activities, and this is moving us from one body to another. We take on another body. We take on different senses that are programmed a particular way. We try to enjoy certain sense objects, and then we begin to act according to that programming We create more karma. We take on the next body. And Krishna says that not everybody can see this, right? It's kind of confidential, this knowledge. Certain people that are endeavoring can see this. Certain people can't see this. But then he goes still further, right? And he says this verse, Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo, right? Jagad Bhasayate Kilam, Yach Chandramasi, Yach Chagnau, Tat Tejo Vidimamakam. That he says that the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, and this is the confidential part, comes from me, right? And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire, they're also from me, right? And then later on, at the end of that chapter, he says, iti guyam tamam shastram. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, right? That through devotion, you can connect with that person that's behind it all, right? That he's tied into it all. And several times in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's going to use this word guyam, even when he concludes the Bhagavad Gita, he says, let me share with you now this most confidential, because you're my friend, Arjuna, right? Let me share this with you. At the beginning of the 9th chapter, where you get into that real deeper devotional messages of the Bhagavatam, Krishna will say, idam tu te guyam tamam, right? Or Arjuna, let me share with you, because this most confidential knowledge. Why? Because you're never envious of me, right? Anusuyave, right? Therefore, the confidential knowledge gets open to you. And so there's this idea in Bhagavad Gita that if we purify our desires, if we get our senses under control, if we get our desires under control, and we're no longer pulled by them, if we let go of our attachments, if we let go of resentments, if we let go of hostility, if we let go of envy, and if we try to come from a place of devotion, that the most confidential part of these scriptures, of these ancient texts, the deeper knowledge, the deeper meaning, you become open to it. He doesn't say you have to be like super scholarly or have a super high IQ, right? Or be born in a certain family, right? Or anything like that, right? But it has to do with the quality of your heart, that this most confidential stuff will get opened up. And I like what Thich Nhat Hanh is saying. I like the idea of moving through this world and trying to be more mindful of what's going on. And I do think that even if we're doing that, just that, we would live together in much better harmony. We would suffer so much less, we would live happier, better lives. We would learn more of what we're meant to learn through life. But what's so special about Gita and Bhagavatam in particular is that they're sharing that deeper, most confidential part. Let's still go further, right? Not just appreciate the sun, but appreciate that divine, beautiful, loving being that's behind it all, that you can connect with, and it's gonna take us deeper into understanding who that is. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna see this revealed. We're seeing this revealed in Yamaraj speaking to his servants, the Yamadutas, who are like, they appear like these crude, harsh beings, but they're kind of like loyal, dharmic people, just doing the dirty work of the universe,
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it, and they're doing it. But he's going to say there's more that you don't know about Dharma. There's a more confidential part of it. Let me share that with you. It has to do with those divine beings you saw, those Vishnu Dutas, those servants of Lord Vishnu. Yeah, there's someone behind all of this. I can share with you. It's just the fact that they brought it up made him feel happy. Like, oh, they connected with those beings. They got connected a little bit with that confidential end of all of this. Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'd like to, riff on that concept of envy as well too. It's because I was speaking with a devotee I know that's very successful in his line of work, and I'm talking about he's going through some legal battles.
That's always that's the kind of stuff that can really
and it's
suck
one
your
of these
energy, right?
Yeah, and one of these real litigious over nothing, where someone's like finding some issue over some detail and like throwing a whole lawsuit against you, and it's crushing the person. It's like people that you've really tried to take care of and stuff like that. Anyway, he's getting sued, and it's affecting his mind so much, and he's trying very hard. I'm going to just be Krishna conscious through all this stuff.
Okay.
And he's a very kind person too. But in this day and age, I could trip in front of your house and sue you for an uneven sidewalk. And then it completely screws a person, especially if they don't have the appropriate insurance for whatever happened to you. So the idea is people see, well, he must be successful. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't, he's got tons of money. What's the big deal to sue him? Envy the material. Not everybody's happy for your success. And sometimes when you go into this world naively, something good's happening, I'm going to share it with people. You can't share all of your good fortune with everybody because people don't want it. Some people don't want to hear it. As soon as you share your success with someone, they're interpreting that as I'm bad, I'm worthless. It triggers their worthless button. Your good fortune triggers their worthless button. And when you trigger their worthless button, they can't tolerate that. So they have to go into your identity and find something wrong with you. Oh yeah, you got money, but this is what's wrong with you. And they go and they start to dissect your character. And it's a horrible thing because what it is, it's the initial thing of your own self-hate that you're projecting on the world. And my own self-hate project on everybody else comes from a deep, I hate God, because God's in every being. If I'm walking around hating people, you can interpret that as I hate God and I hate myself. And I'm finding that, and so I'm going to pull that back to my own life. Anytime I got an issue with a person, I've realized I've got some issue with God. God's in this person's heart. Every time I got an issue with somebody else, I'm realizing I got an issue with myself. There's something in me I got to correct. What is it in me? That it's one thing to discern, this is a problem. This person did this. This wasn't a good thing. That's different than hating. That's different than, it's what the whole world is talking about. Hate crimes. What is hating? And this is the thing, across the board, whatever political spectrum you're on, no one likes hate. Good people don't like hate. And if we're trying to endeavor ourselves to be a better person, this hate comes out, whether it's hate of myself, hate of other people, or hate of God. And this is part of what you were saying, how the subtle things we have to work on to evolve in bhakti. These can be good red flags for us on a spiritual path. When somebody comes in the room and I got issues with them, something's up with my bhakti. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's great what you're saying. I think we just need to be really clear what we mean when you say have an issue, because it doesn't mean that you necessarily accept
everybody's doing everything right.
Yeah,
sure.
but it means, but I think if I understand what you're saying is, if it creates a hostility in me towards them, not towards their behavior, not towards their statement necessarily, but towards them as a living being. If it creates hostility in you, then you have an issue. Right?
Yeah. And in a naive way, sometimes we are. Anyway, this came from the idea that not everybody's happy for you, because people aren't necessarily all your well-wishers. Some people are so plagued by this envy. It's a very ugly thing. It's a very ugly thing. And if you're plagued by it, you can't show your hand to people, because they're going to come after you in some other way. They're not happy for your success. They want to take you down for your success. So it's just one of those layers and layers of things that sometimes take lifetimes to work through. Because of course you can feed envy. You can feed envy like you can feed, you could, in the same way you get better at yoga or working out, you get better at envy just by cultivating an envious mind. Anyway, it's one of those thick layers to climb out of as we walk this path or on the spiritual journey.
Okay.
All right.
You sound like you're on a journey right now. We're going to have to hear
I'm on a little bit. I'm walking. I stay in one place.
Here's some kind of insects in the background.
I will get the police. Oh, you hear that? I stay in one place. It's a residential neighborhood. The cops will get called. If they walk on the main road, there's all these cars.
Careful with the microphone around because you're keep it like you were before.
Okay, I don't think I did anything different, but okay. Yeah. I'll walk slower and more mindfully. How about that?
We can hear in your breathing that you're walking around.
Yeah. Trying to get my steps in. Okay. Okay.
You want to share the prayers?
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanarottamam Divam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Presh Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. This is what you were just saying. Some people are, we get born blind. We don't get born necessarily mindful. You get born blind and confused in the darkness of ignorance. It's such an eloquent prayer. Okay, where are we, Prabhu? I can't see my...
Margie?
Canto 6, Chapter 3, Text 17.
Okay. So, again, this special, very special, and as a matter of fact, like he's in the company of 11 other people within the universe that are spoken of as having particularly deep understanding of how the universe works, right? The 12 Mahajanas, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think we may even read about that today. But these Yamadutas, you would look at them and you would think, whoa, these guys are like, they're looking rougher than any biker gang I've ever seen.
The boogeyman. The boogeyman.
Yeah, they're like some really rough characters, but externally they look that way, but they're actually great souls. They're actually, again, it's dirty work that they're doing, dragging people down and making them experience these the results of their bad karma and the dark corners of the underworld of the universe. But
it's a service. It's a service.
They're doing it as a service. They're doing it in the name of Dharma. They're doing it it's kind of like, a prison guard or something like that. It's being done in the name of rectification.
Sure. And the interesting thing is, it's like, it's not God. It's not God that's doing it for your punishment. It's if you ever get mad at God, like, why me, God? Blame. It should be more like, why Yamadutas? Why?
Well, not even them, right? It's that even that's like a prisoner saying getting mad at the prison guard or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's like, truthfully, it's why did I do what I did?
Yeah, why did I?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take responsibility. But it's not Krishna who's enacting the punishment anyway. First of all, we have responsibility, and second of all, it's not Krishna. Krishna's stealing sweets from his friends. He's in loving escapades with his girlfriends. And escapades, yeah, like
the ice-capades.
Like the ice. I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, what was that? It was the ice-capades. but you could tell you grew up in New York when you know what the ice capades is.
I think other people know.
I don't think so. I think it's a New York thing, the ice capades.
I don't think so. I'm sure it traveled around.
It was
Henry
a
knows
touring
ice capades.
road show. Mara,
Yeah,
do you know what the ice capades are?
Yeah, I've heard of the ice capades.
Okay.
So, in any case, yeah. So,
Krishna, we have responsibility for what we're getting. We can't blame the universe. We can't blame God. We can't blame my family, my kids, my boss, the president, the State of the Union, the Ukraine, Russia. You can't blame anymore. On our spiritual journey, we're asked to take full responsibility. And when you do that, you're relieved from a lot of pain. I got what I got. What am I supposed to get from this now? Where can I go from here now? That's a big one. That's liberating. Once I get rid of the blaming, criticizing, and complaining, life becomes easier. And that's hard because sometimes we live in that swamp. Swamp?
Okay. Well, the Yamadutas weren't exactly swamp creatures, but they were scary. And it would be a beautiful cinematic kind of thing to watch this, like these twisted face, brutal looking, gargoyle kind of characters. And they're speaking to this deva, or this deva is speaking to them. They place their. I mean, imagine what Yamaraja must look like. He must be very impressive, very impressive man, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and not just impressive physically, right, but deep in his knowledge, in his character. And so now he's explaining, we can imagine they're sitting around him and he's explaining now something, they've understood something about Dharma. He's going to explain Dharma in a deeper way, in a more confidential way, in a more personal way, in a way that goes to bhakti, that's getting to the deepest truths of the universe. That's why this story is included in Bhagavatam, because that's what Bhagavatam does. So he says, he's explained to them already that there's a person beyond me. You thought I was kind of number one. I'm not. There's Krishna or Vishnu behind it all. And now he's speaking more about that Krishna. In text 17, he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient and is fully independent. He is the master of everyone and everything, including the illusory energy. He has his form, qualities, and features. And similarly, his order carriers, the Vaishnavas, who are very beautiful, possess bodily features, transcendental qualities, and a transcendental nature almost like his. They always wander within this world with full independence. Those four beings that you saw that came and saved Jamil, those beautiful creatures that floated in, so powerful but so beautiful, they were his servants. They're very special, right? They're free. They're not bound by the. I saw. I want to share it with you, Raghunath. There's some cartoon. I don't know if you ever come across these in your scrolling around. No, not like drawn cartoons. But that kind of just show a lot of the ironies in life.
Yeah.
And
like a meme?
Yeah, I think they're used as memes often. Okay. And I think this was done by someone named Owen Chase. And it said, step into the quirky world of perspectives, candid cartoons revealing life's realities. And a lot of them are done in a format where it's like two panels, one next to the other. And it says yes to the first one, and then it says but, and then it has the second one, right? So the first one, it says yes, and it has a guy with a tattoo on his arm. And it says, my life, my rules.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, that's right, man. Yeah,
it's my life, my rules. Screw you. Screw your system. Do it my way.
It sounds, impressive and bold and independent.
Should be deemed independent, Sid Vicious.
Yeah. My life, my rules, right? But then in the next panel it says but, and then it just shows like a book on astrophysics, a book with a fundamental of physics, a book that's the Constitution, like a scale of justice, a police officer, like a judge's gavel. Actually, no, you are bound by so many rules, right?
What to speak of? Like, really? That's what you want to live by? If you want the world to live by that, what if my rule is to kick your butt right now? Like, is that fair? Or is to cause chaos?
Yeah, there is a need. Yeah. Yes,
exactly. to kill baby seals. My life, my rules. That's what you. it sounds great on paper,
but it's a mess in reality. It's not. It's one. It's not true, and two, if it were true, it would be a total mess. Right. The more, the more that you think in that so-called rugged individualism, and not that there's not a value to independence and individuality and so on, but there's also a value. A lot of this is the whole conservative liberal kind of thing, on our, in any case, but there's also value to the harmony that comes through laws of nature, right? And in order to create harmony as a society, we create laws, hopefully they're just, hopefully they're just, and hopefully they're applied well, and hopefully they're understood well and applied well, and what's the word I'm looking for, when you enacted well, right?
Well, I think it's safe to say all these Vedic principles and Vedic teachings and we're trying to figure out, or it's giving us insight into figuring out the laws of nature, and it's giving us direction,
and becoming free. Becoming.
Find those laws, flow with those laws, and becoming free outside of these. I like that.
Because here he's saying those Vishnu Dutas that you saw, we can't imagine the beauty in this vision, right? It's like, if we're lucky, maybe we see something like this in a dream, Right. But they were these, they have these beautiful complexions and beautiful forms, and they have 4 arms, and they're just radiating beauty and spirituality and power. And he's saying he says his order carriers, the Vaishnavas, who are very beautiful, possess bodily features, transcendental qualities, and a transcendental nature, almost like his. They always wander within this world with full independence, right? It's kind of like, there are just like there are laws of the road. You flow. When you try to break them, you get restricted. They take away your right to drive, or you crash. Or when you learn to flow with them, you actually become free. And so these Vishnu Dutas, they're totally free in the sense that they've understood how to flow with nature. They've understood how nature is all coming from this divine source full of love, and they've learned to flow with that. Now they're not bound in the same way that most are bound. He continues.
Okay, wait a second. I got to butt in here.
Okay.
What do you think of this theory? There's something beautiful about children of devotees.
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up too.
Children of devotees are beautiful. If you
It's
go down to
uncanny.
It's uncanny. And I think it's because of the piety the parents have tried to cultivate, and they call almost like higher beings into their wombs. Now this may sound crazy or something, but I don't know. I think there's some truth to that.
And not just like, let's say, typical like physical beauty necessarily we're talking about, that they radiate beauty in different ways, but also physically beautiful. It's like, my God, all these kids are gorgeous. It's like
right.
Yeah, it's definitely I noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay. The order text 18, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, who are worshipped even by the demigods, even the devas, who you think were like the highest. No. Even the demigods they possess wonderful bodily features exactly like those of Vishnu, and are very rarely seen, like in this part of the universe, right? The Vishnu Dutas protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of enemies, from envious persons, and even from my jurisdiction, as well as from natural disturbances. Amazing, right? Guardian angels. Yeah. You know, there's that book. You must have read when you were a kid. Did you read Catcher in the Rye?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember it very well?
Not really. I can't really remember it.
Salinger's a great writer, and someday we got to get into Franny and Zooey, because
Franny and Zooey.
That's where he really gets into Bubba the Geek and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, of course, it's about this teenager. What is it, Holden?
Oh yeah,
Caulfield, or Holden Caulfield, I think it was.
Caulfield.
And he's just going through his existential crisis as a teenager, and you know, kind of fed up with all the hypocrisy and all that kind of stuff. But all he wanted, right? All he wanted was to be a catcher in the rye, which was just like a person that just like, he's there kind of to protect the children, you know, just like, I just want to do good and protect the innocent, you know.
You know, there's something about rereading these classic books now.
Yeah, from a bhakti perspective.
From a bhakti perspective, just from a mature life experience perspective as well. Because I'm reading these books when I was 16. Maybe we should. You know what I've been reading?
What have you been reading?
Moby Dick.
Oh yeah, you told me when you're in the car you were listening to that.
Yes.
How was it?
I didn't finish it yet. It's like,
what's the first line? I am something or other?
My name is Ishmael.
My name is Ishmael. Yeah.
Okay.
So in any case,
you know, it's one of those interesting karma. Herman Melville, who also lived by me. He lived in Albany and Pittsfield.
Okay.
But he's one of these people. Imagine that. Like, Moby Dick is like the classic of American literature. It's so much depth to it. You know, you could look at it from so many different vantage points. But it's like he didn't make any money from that book until he died. And, you know, it's one of
so he was such a success, but such a failure. Such a failure, but such a success.
Such a failure in the material world. Yeah, it shows you. You know, you plant these seeds. It's like planting a nut tree. You bring it back to permaculture. You know, it's like the generations later reap from it.
Nice. So these Vishnu Dutas are like this. These are beings. They're higher than the Devas, right? They're given forms that are beautiful and transcendental that can move at faster than the speed of the mind. They're not bound by the laws like practically every other living being in the universe. And what's their business? They go and they take care of Lord Vishnu's devotees. They protect them from enemies. They protect them from the Yamadutas. They protect them from even natural disturbances. You know? Prabhupada writes in his commentary, he says, sometimes my disciples, they ask me about World War, you know, because this was written back in the 70s. And, you know, when we were growing up, that was always the thing. Like, we're going to go to war with Russia and all the bombs are going to get set off. And
we're back.
Yeah, we're kind of back there. We're getting back
there. It didn't take long.
But you know, then that nuclear threat was something that was just kind of like always there.
It was always in your face. We grew up to hate Russia.
Yeah. And so here, Prabhupada was writing this commentary that he would tell them, you have nothing to fear, right? Have no fear. Just go forward and do your service, and don't fear natural disturbances. Don't even, you know, don't fear horrible death in different ways. You're being protected.
Takes you right out of the anxiety that we suffer from.
Yeah.
The zoom out, the big picture takes us right out, have some faith. Or else you can fear everything. You can actually fear everything. There's so many things to fear, and social media just like it sets you up for fear and anxiety. It's like there's a new mosquito, and the mosquito's killing everyone. It's like mosquitoes killing every bug in my house. No, it's like there's every reason to be fearful, and there's one great reason to not be fearful, and that's because you're being taken care of, and there's a divine plan for you. And you're in Krishna's hands. You're eternal. And you're an eternal being. Otherwise, you know, that I can't help but keep on reflecting on Ann Watson's story. That Mara, we got so much traction from that Ann Watson story. If you missed it, Walk on Wednesday,
go back and listen to yesterday's episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's such a powerful episode and it's one of these things. A person gets to this point where like, yeah, I feel it, but I'm not going to let that anxiety, that stress, that overwhelm, I'm not going to let it control me anymore. There's no good that's going to come from this.
Yeah, that's freedom, right? That's
real freedom. Yeah. That's real freedom. That's real liberation.
Right.
Okay, go on.
I'll read the commentary. It's short. Prabhupada writes, Yamaraj has specifically described the qualities of the Vishnu Dutas to convince his own servants not to be envious of them, not to be hostile towards them. Yamaraj warned the Yamadutas, that the Vishnu Dutas are worshipped with respectful obeisances by the demigods and are always very alert to protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of enemies, from natural disturbances, and from all dangerous conditions in this material world. Sometimes the members of the Krishna consciousness movement are afraid of the impending danger of world war and ask what would happen to them if a war should occur. In all kinds of danger.
I'm on the edge of my seat to figure out what's going to happen.
In all kinds of danger, they should be confident of their protection by the Vishnu Dutas, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. You know which one? That's a little late, but Kaunteya Pratijanahi. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Yeah.
Declare it boldly. My devotee never fails.
Yeah.
Or never perishes.
Material danger is not meant for devotees. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham.
Every step there is danger. There is a danger at every step. But
that there's danger at every. Do you know that? That's a beautiful poetic verse.
Yeah. What's that called in
alliteration?
Alliteration. Yeah.
I thought I had that one pulled up. It's in. I know it's in. Maybe I don't have it pulled up.
If you got 2 legs, you're food for 4 legs.
No, that's a different one.
Oh,
this is the one that for the devotees of the Lord. Let me Google it.
Oh yeah.
This is the hoof print of the calf runner. Padam yad vipadam natesham 10:14:58. So this is the prayers of Lord Brahma speaking to Lord Krishna. He says, I'll read it. Samashrita ye padapalava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho marare bhavam budhir vatsa padam padam yad vipadam natesham.
That's a beautiful piece of poetry there. Good job, Lord Brahma.
So he's the best, For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mora demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint.
Little bit.
It's not even a cow's hoofprint.
It's a calf. It's a baby foot. It's a baby.
Teeny,
it's not even a human foot that's sort of long. It's like a little round footprint.
A tiny little
baby, like a sheep.
So the ocean of what we worry about gets shrunk down into just not even a cow's hoofprint, a little calf's hoofprint. He continues, their goal is param padam, right? That Vaikuntha, the param padam, the highest step, you could say, right? Param padam. Their goal is param padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place. And this is talking about where we live, where there's danger at every step.
Where there's danger at every step. Yeah. And that's the verse gets quoted a lot by devotees, where there's danger at in this planet, there's danger at every step. How did I get that confused with the other verse? How does that verse end? The one one person.
Jivasya. That jiva is the word I think that's getting repeated in that one, if I remember correctly.
What's the last line of that?
I don't remember.
Okay, sorry for that detour.
No problem. So Prabhupada, he continues, material danger is not meant for devotees. Interesting way to say it. It's meant for people that aren't devotees. That's like saying the jail is not meant for law-abiding citizens.
Sure. Right? Even if you're a law-abiding citizen and gets put to jail for some reason, in good consciousness, you're like, I'm doing my time here and I'm going to get out of here. And generally they get released earlier. It gets in a good positive situation, in a good prison, you get released earlier from whatever you've done. Sometimes people do you hit someone with your car and for some reason you got to do some time. But if
that's because you were drunk when you did it.
If you weren't drunk, but it was an accident, but they still for some reason you have that attitude, you're not blaming anybody, and you get released from it.
Right. So material danger is not meant for devotees. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, padam padam yad vi padam natesham. In the material world, there are dangers at every step, but they are not meant for devotees who have fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. The pure devotees of Lord Vishnu may rest assured of the Lord's protection. That's the theme of this entire canto, is this poshanam, is the Lord's protection. As long as they are in this material world, what do we do? Do we fear? Do we worry? What's the answer? As long as they are in this material world, they should fully engage in devotional service.
Mm-hmm.
How? And this is all the words Prabhupada uses here are like triggers, but by preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
You know what I've decided? That is such a good trigger warning here. That is, I'm think I'm going to change my bio on Instagram to
Okay.
Preacher.
Okay.
I'm
preacher of the
serious.
cult.
It's like, that's what I do.
Cult preacher.
Cult preacher. You know what? I think I should.
I don't think you should, Raghunath. Especially as your book's about to come out.
Full circle. I'm a preacher of a cult. Big deal. What are you a preacher of? What's coming out of your mouth?
What's your cult? But I saw something else today. I saw another nugget today, Raghunath. I'm bringing them all out quick.
You're very nuggetful, Prabhu.
This was from Toni
You're
Morrison.
At the world as nuggets. You know that?
There's a lot of them out there. But this was from Toni Morrison, the novelist and social critic.
Oh, okay.
And she said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. And I think it's the exact,
If you have food, Mara,
and it's
feed someone else.
Somebody. Yes, feed somebody else. If you are cooking on a regular basis,
you have the duty to cook somebody else. No, but the point is, the same person that would have been triggered by everything Srila Prabhupada said, would have said, no, this is right. Yeah, that right on, Tony. It's like, if you're free, you need to free somebody else. If you have power, you need to empower somebody else. Right. That's all the Srila Prabhupada's saying.
Right. He's just saying in a weird way before the word cult was a bad word. He said,
because he grew up in a whole Christian, he was his idea of how to speak English and how to and what an English speaking audience is looking for was, a lot of it was formed in his being raised in Christian schools in India. So he's not afraid to use the word preach, and he's not,
some people
use the word cult.
Will take these things out of context.
Yeah.
And you and I probably did at one time too. Would take a statement like that. Like, what does it mean? They're a cult or a self-proclaimed cult. Here, right here, it says it right here. You don't want to take these things within a context, within a cultural context, within a context of a time frame of the of world's history. And here's an interesting thing: you and me just got through that and looked for the essentials. We don't get hung up. We don't get tripped up by this languaging. But there will be people who'll be like, I've taken this one thing out of context, and that's a reason that I shouldn't accept all these other wonderful things that go with this. Self-control, controlling your mind, finding peace, seeing spirit in every living being, all these wonderful things. And it was like what I was saying earlier. Sometimes we have a self-loathing that we project to the entire world.
So we're always trying to find fault.
We're always
in everything and everyone.
A running narrative that the world is out to get me. People aren't good. The society is not good. Culture is not good. These people, even people who are trying to help me, are not good. And it's a horrible
the government
mindset.
The government.
The government is out to get me. Trump is out to get me.
Get off of my lawn.
Biden's trying to get me.
So you're probably saying zoom out a little bit, right? Zoom out a little bit.
Zoom out. Okay, so what is he saying? The preacher of a cult?
So I'll say it again. What he says, the pure devotees of Lord Vishnu may rest assured of the Lord's protection. And as long as they're in this material world, right? Okay, what do? They should fully engage in devotional service by preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna, namely the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. So I just understand that as he's saying we should be like these Vishnu Dutas, right? Like if we've been given a gift where we have an understanding that relieves us of so much material suffering, you're a bit duty bound. to try to not to shove it down people's throat in a dogmatic way, but to try to serve in such a way that others may also benefit in the same way. And if we have some tact, we'll find a way that we can do that tactfully. You there, Raga?
Yeah, I'm here.
I see the sun's rising over there.
You see, I'm trying to it's something about seeing people's faces.
Oh.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to see your face. I wanted you to see mine.
Okay. So maybe we're out of time for today.
Is it time already? I'm not looking at the clock.
Yeah, pretty much. And we
that
got
went fast.
We got a bit of a late start.
Okay, my bad. I would never have to go Stuba. I'm at Laguna Beach High School.
But I think I think we dug into some good stuff. And tomorrow we're going to get more into that idea of this confidential knowledge. We'll go deeper into that. What's going to be revealed by Yamaraj to the Yamadutas, how he's going to open the door to deeper confidential understanding of Dharma to them. Maraji.
Interesting stuff. Yeah. The morning bath, this is called. The morning bath for the intellect.
Each day I bathe my intellect in the stupendous philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, which in comparison to the world and its something or other seem trivial and insignificant or something like that, right?
Henry David Thoreau.
Was that Thoreau or was that Emerson?
It's Thoreau.
That was Thoreau, okay.
Okay, some takeaways.
Miss Mara, what you got for us? Mara's like, I got things to knit. I've got to get going. There's yarn here waiting for me.
The sounds that come out of our mouth create our world.
I think so.
Control your senses, purify desires, and let go of resentment to understand the most confidential knowledge.
Nice.
Might be a little long for a mug.
A little long, yeah.
Long for a mug.
Maybe a big mug.
Like it.
Maybe a bowl. Maybe put that on a bowl.
Yeah. Serving bowl. Your good fortune might trigger someone else's worthless button.
Ooh, don't you? Yeah.
My issues with others reflect my own issues and my issues with God.
Very well, maybe.
Very well, maybe.
Climb out of envy.
Climb out.
By the way, I got the Henry David Thoreau quote.
Let's hear it.
Oh.
In the morning,
In
the morning, I bathe my intellect in the stupendous and cosmogonal philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita.
You get points today if you use the word cosmogonal in ordinary conversation.
In comparison with which our modern world and its literature seem puny and trivial.
We didn't say it. Henry David Thoreau did. Okay. That's not us saying it. Henry David Thoreau said it.
Maraji.
Okay. Don't blame Krishna. Take responsibility for your own karma.
That's right.
We're born blind, not mindful.
You know what? As I said that, I realized, you know what? In one way, there's some people who are probably born a little bit more enlightened than others.
Okay.
Probably.
I was born a little blind.
Raghunath softens his message a bit here.
I'm retracting my harsh statement condemning everybody as blind.
Just softening it a little bit. That's how.
Yeah.
I got what I got. Where do I go from here?
Okay.
I got it. Now what?
This is a good one. Don't live in the swamp of blaming, complaining, and criticizing.
Swamp
Don't be a swamp monster. You can reduce that.
Yeah.
Remember Squiggy and the Sea Monsters, right?
I do.
Okay. I knew that would cheer you up. Okay, Mara.
All right. There's every reason to be fearful, but there's a divine plan and we're protected.
Okay.
Wait a second. That's such a good. There's every reason to have anxiety.
Every reason. And
let's just end it there. No, just kidding.
And
be a cult preacher.
There you go.
Be a cult preacher. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'd like to hear a show of hands. How many people think I should change?
I think there's a band in England. I think they were called the Manic Street Preachers.
There's also a band you might have heard them called The Cult.
The Cult.
The Cult. They were great.
What about the Dangerous? The cult has to be dangerous, not just any cult, right? Like, we're going to name a band. Some of the dangerous something cult.
Isn't there a band called The Cult of something? Cult of.
see.
Well,
Blue Oyster
thanks everyone for
Cult.
joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks for
that's a good
joining
one,
us
yeah.
for looking at the track at Laguna Beach High School.
What about the Blue Oyster Cult, Robin?
The Blue Oyster Cult, that was a bad name.
I think Krishna Das was in a band with those guys before they became the Blue Oyster Cult.
I think he was too.
They're from Long Island, right?
It was a bad name. I did have the belt buckle. I had a Blue Oyster Cult. I had the belt buckle. You remember that was
you had ELO.
7th grade. Belt buckles and bands.
I thought you had the big T-shirt when we were kids was the Black and Blue tour. Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult. Remember that?
I was just telling my daughter that, when I was little, there would be concert tours, and everybody would go to the big concert at the local Coliseum. For us, it was the New Haven Coliseum. And you'd come and you'd wear like the baseball shirt, 3/4 sleeve shirt.
Where was this? What Coliseum?
Well, in Connecticut, we'd go to New Haven Coliseum.
Where?
New Haven?
New Haven Coliseum, okay.
Yeah, whatever small town you live in, go to whatever city's Coliseum, and you'd see these corporate rock bands on tour, and you'd buy the concert shirt, which was a baseball shirt in the 70s, like 3/4 sleeve.
Baseball shirt, yeah.
And you'd buy like AC/DC sticks,
But the Black and Blue tour, that was a big one.
BOC. I didn't even know these. I didn't know this type of music. I didn't know music. You did. I didn't know. I just knew I want people to like me. It seems like that's cool. So I'll get a T-shirt.
Blue Oyster Cult. Your mother must have seen Blue Oyster Cult, and how did she allow you to wear that shirt or belt buckle?
The belt buckle?
Huh?
I don't think she understood. Oh, you know what?
She thought it meant Birth of Christ or something like that.
It was Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was ELO is the belt buckle.
Not ELO. That was my belt buckle. How do you know all these things about me?
Because you told us that.
Electric Light Orchestra sounds pretty cool. That even sounds cool nowadays.
Electric Light Orchestra.
Electric Light.
There's a band. There's a guy that I spoke with recently who's getting into bhakti, and he's from another band that the name reminded me of Electric Light Orchestra, but a more cooler, modern version. What was that band? Do you know who I'm talking about right now?
No.
Jiva's still here? She's got to tell me. I forgot the name of that band now.
Oh, yeah. She was mentioning. Oh,
was it?
Coolest Shaper this Sunday.
Oh, okay. But I forget the name of that band. Something Light. Something Light is in the name.
Light.
Let me see if I can find it. Jiva's not here. Nice guy.
I miss you. I wish you guys were all here with me.
Huh.
I don't mean everyone on Zoom, although maybe there's like a pack of us walking down the streets.
Where did my communication with you?
Great. Thank everybody together. And I was thinking, I guess we do that. We call the Wisdom of the Sages retreats.